remember this happened on a couple of videos when they was talking about that redheads. If you a ginger, and if you are a gender and ginger, and that's offensive to you, I apologize. But if you are a redhead and you're a ginger, that you possibly have a deep black lineage in you. And majority of the
spicy white.
Huh?
I said we call them spicy white.
But if you are a redhead from back in the day, I don't know if y'all noticed George Washington, who else? Andrew Jackson. They all had red hair, but they used to dust it with white powder. So people would not know, because to have red hair back in the day was damn near as bad as being called a nigger. And this is factual statements. Yeah, it's real in the field. Go ahead, fool.
No, I mean, with something like this, we already know the play, and we're the epicenter as far as the United States. What they want to do, they always want to do their best to infiltrate other countries, and Europe is where that's really the melting pot. But they're the melting pot where anything goes.
Yeah.
Over here, we have some type of restriction. That's why they always watch the United States to see how we move. And I'm assuming countries like Europe are pissed because they're like, wait a minute, they're enforcing their immigration laws. Why aren't we? Why over there, they're getting locked up for social media posts.
Yeah.
And they just keep it a buck. So it's nothing new. It's not surprising. It's just, if y'all notice, it's the same script, different group.
Yeah. Yes. Lynn said, thanks, Obama. Obama took his BS on a worldwide tour. Y'all better know it. Razor Ray, subversion is exactly what's going on.
Obama,
it's a coordinated attack.
What y'all talking about?
Huh? What'd you say?
I said Obama the best thing since sliced bread. What y'all talking about?
Man, what type of dope is you smoking over there? Like, what you got going on under them glasses? I know you playing. The Morris history. Let's see. The Morris history.
Oh, y'all heard the sarcasm in my voice when I said it?
We definitely did. Yes, we did. So the Moorish history is really tied into America deeper than people realize. Look at the dollar. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, this
the
is
Moors
true.
The Moors taught Europe how to clean up behind themselves. So, like I said, they had animals and all that other stuff in the house before the Moors went over to Europe and showed them, like, you need to have separation and animals need to be outside. And this is how you run your house. And this is how you clean for yourself. And this, that, and the third. It was the Moors who historically taught Europe about all of that.
She said, I know you like. Nah, well, they ain't really listen all the way, because not even, I think the turn of the 18th century, they was still going through the big stink. They still was having doo-doo flowing all through the streets. Even when they were in what is it called? Even when they were in their palaces. I don't know if y'all ever watched Game of Thrones. It still looked funky, musty, and dusty up in there. So I don't even think that they was really 100% listening. You still had the situation where, I don't know if you know, but when it comes to bouquets, do you know where bouquets were created? Bouquet of flowers? Bouquets of flowers were created because they used to stink. It used to keep them from smelling because they used to be funky as hell.
That's part of the reason why they used to wear them big ass dresses too.
Yeah, Dookie Demick is crazy.
Dookie Demick is crazy. I ain't lying.
Dookie Demick is crazy work. Yes, Dookie Demick, man. Listen, but shout out to the people in Europe. But at the end of the day, the chickens is coming home to roost on y'all asses. That's my thought. That's my thought. I don't care. I'm sorry if I'm gonna be brash. I'm gonna try to. I told you I'm trying to stop saying the F-bomb. But I don't give a damn what happens to Spain. I hope that y'all get the biggest hammer put on y'all asses ever to be created. Because the same thing that's happening to y'all is what y'all did to so many other countries on a worldwide scale, including America. Y'all did the same thing here in America. You did the same thing in what is now called Mexico. You did the same thing in the Caribbean. You did the same thing everywhere else. So guess what? I hope that they come and they raise hell there. Morocco. Raise hell on them bitches. Raise hell on all of them. Y'all deserve it. Huh?
I don't agree with that, Shannon. I don't agree with that at all. Okay. I think that whatever can be done to stop this shit in its tracks needs to be done, because ultimately what affects Europe will impact the United States of America one way or another. Both things are happening on both continents, right? The same thing that's happening there is happening here. It's just happening there on a much greater and on a much faster scale. And so if you allow Europe to fall, you're just going to strengthen the other side and make it harder for us to ultimately defeat them. And so I'm looking at it from the perspective of this is what you ever bargained for.
I smoke free body. Get your violence. See, why we just can't learn to love each other? And this is definitely the modern day Babylon. Look, I'm telling you, man. America gonna get theirs too. They are. They are. And it's sad that these situations happen because it falls on the citizens, the generation who ain't had nothing to do with historical events. They just living through it. But yeah, y'all got some karma coming y'all way, unfortunately. And America got some karma coming their way too. But you know, we eventually may pay for the sins of the father.
Hate to tell you, it's not working.
What is it?
Share screen. I'm hitting it. I'm hitting put entire screen. I hit allow, and then it says the browser can't access your screen. Try capturing a different screen to see if it discontinues.
So do you is it on TikTok?
Yes.
Send it to TikTok and I'll pull it up on my end. Yeah, just send it to me as a video. Yeah, we having a few just a thing. We still trying to maneuver through this, but at the end of the day, yeah, good job on that story. I knew you was gonna bring the heat when it comes to it. It's been too much since I came back. Like I feel like that, like I'm being pulled in so many different directions when it comes to it's so much stuff that's happening right now. I've seen a video where women are talking about that they want to get them a man made of trees, and because they
listen, it's rough out here for the ladies, man. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. Us men, when it's not a lot of men that are even being born anymore, right? The birth rates are low, period, but especially for men. And then when you look at the crop of men that we have today, a lot of us are not cut from the same cloth. A lot of us today lack real, genuine man leadership. You know, a guy who gonna crack the whip and really tell you what it is. A lot of us are missing that, and now we just want it spoon fed, and we want to carry purses and wear fingernail polish and act sassy, and
they pause you.
It is what it is, man. I feel sorry for a lot of ladies out there having to deal with this.
Yeah,
but y'all created this monster.
Yeah,
y'all created this.
I love monster, my man. I don't care. I love my man, and I'm grateful to be with him and be in a happy relationship. We have our ups and downs as any relationship does, but we locked in. I would not want to be a single woman. Maybe men is different when it comes to dating. I would not want to be a single woman out here at all. It's dangerous. If you dating, you got to date it with intention. Like you got to really have a purpose for dating. You can't just be dating just because you want to just have somebody that you could sleep with, or you want somebody that's going to be. No, you got to have a partner. If you don't got no partner, you wasting your time dating. You wasting your years, even if you in your 20s. When you in your 20s, I know a lot of people like, well, I'm in my 20s. I'm about getting to this. No. In your 20s is when you should be looking for your partner. Because you ain't really got no time to waste. And ladies, with all the food and the poison that they putting in our bodies, you ain't got that much time left when it comes to your ovaries. I'm telling you. It's gonna get to the point that they gonna put so much poison in this food that women gonna start getting menopause in their 30s. Mark my words.
It's already happening.
I already know.
Already happened. Yeah.
You already got men using honey packs. Y'all can't even keep y'all things up in y'all 20s.
So that's why I'm like, listen, I'm gonna be a nice guy and give y'all all a little bit of advice. So if y'all don't know, I've been married for 18 years at least, right? This is what I can tell you. In order to stay married, in order to get married and stay married, this is what I need y'all to listen to. You must be each other's jackpot. Both of you have to view each other like this is my end all be all. This is the best that I can do for myself. If you look at that person and you don't see that this is the best that you can do for yourself, if you look at this person and say, yeah, but that's not for you.
Yeah.
The person that's for you is your jackpot, the person that you can't live without, the person that is your end all be all, the person that you would move heaven and earth for. We all know who that person is. Either you've met him or you haven't. But you'll know that person when you come across them. But in order for you to have a truly lasting relationship, and I'm gonna leave this alone because it's not my field of expertise, but I just need you to understand, you both have to be each other's jackpot. Y'all have to see that for each other, or else it'll fail. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. What's going on, Tracy? Welcome. Thanks for joining us, Fool. You got any thoughts?
No, I totally agree. I used to play golf with a guy. He said, as far his name was Big Al pretty much, but he used to say, I can't do no better. And him and Mama Waxter was together for like 40 years. So that's the way it's like, I can't do any better than this. And I used to see that, because that's what we really don't see in our community a lot, is the parents that stay together forever. It's always something going on. We always see different men or different women or this, that, whatever. And as a kid, when you're seeing that, you don't understand what's going on. Then when you get older, oh, that's why that's what's happening. Oh, that's why my aunt was with my other aunt. They was roommates. Okay, no problem. It is what it is. Did you get it on TikTok?
I did.
Yeah, basically for me, with this fresh off the press, I've been seeing it a lot with what happened at Tuskegee. I commend them, but it's kind of a double-edged sword, because you can look at it in a lot of ways. They changed the dress code, but it's everything. It's not just the bonnets and the do-rags. It's also slippers, pajamas, all of that. And I think they did something with the cell phones also. But the thing with that is, like for me, I understand it from the aspect of you want to make sure that you look presentable. But I got to tell you, for me to know that and believe in that with the way I think, if I was in that situation, I'd be like, wait a minute, my tuition, I'm paying tuition to come. I can come how I want. And that's what you're going to end up getting. It's going to be a back and forth thing. But I agree with it's all about presentation. Because to talk to those young kids, first off, how are you doing this? What did your parents teach you? You could play hers for a hot second. You can play hers for a hot second. Just so
okay.
And I can kind of touch on what she's saying.
Okay. All right.
Called me asking about the Tuskegee dress code situation.
Can you hear it?
And she only specifically mentioned the bonnets and do-rags, and I was confused. I was like, education and becoming an adult in this world that can go.
Hold on, let me start it over.
So my mom just called me asking about the Tuskegee dress code situation, and she only specifically mentioned the bonnets and do-rags, and I was confused. I was like, them only picking up the bonnets and do-rags at a HBC was a little bit odd, but turns out they said no pajamas, slippers, bonnets, do-rags, revealing clothing to class, I believe the cafeteria, and maybe a few other places on campus. And I'm an HBCU grad myself, Hampton University class of 2023, and I'm going to get more serious than this when it comes to dress code. I used to purposely disguise myself to go to the cafeteria on Wednesdays, so I didn't have to be in business pro just to go eat lunch. So when it comes to the outrage, I'm a little bit confused, because where did it come from? One, are the kids wearing the bonnets and do-rags, pajamas to class right now, maybe during summer school? Were they doing it last year? Were they already planning on doing it? And people are deflecting, saying there's other issues on campus. Okay, we can talk about both of those at the same time, because time and place is a very important part of getting an education and becoming an adult in this world that can go into professional or careers or go down a certain path. Why are we upset? They said don't wear your inside clothes outside.
You can end it there. You can that she just said the key word, and that the way I always look at it is like this. with what you're wearing, would you wear that to work? Would you go to work with slippers on and pajamas? Would you go to work with a bonnet on your head? Now, unfortunately, in this day and age, yes, some of them will, because I've seen videos of certain young people going to interviews, and the stuff they wear on these interviews is ridiculous. But we have to get back to, I'm not even going to say black excellence. We got to just go back to looking presentable, because this is, it's crazy for me when I think about it. For them to do that, like I said, I love the idea of the premise of what they're doing, but I know for a fact they're going to get pushback, because it's just like with anything else. They're going to be like, I pay my tuition, I should be able to wear what I want. Now, to class, in the cafeteria, I'm kind of wishy-washy on that one, because you might want to just go and get something and just that way to go back to your room. But it's their institution. But I like I said, I like the premise, but I know it's going to be pushback.
Here's my thing. I just don't understand when we stopped giving a damn when we left the house. I just don't know when that became a trend to even go outside in your pajamas, in your house shoes, in your robe. Like my mom has never left the house with a scarf on. Never went out the house with her pajamas on, even when it comes to dropping me off at school when I was a kid. So I just don't know who made that trend cool, but y'all need to roll that back, because it's not okay. What was you about to say, Fool?
It happened when you start talking about rebellious kids that were attempting to do that. And then when they became parents, they was like, you know what? I don't care. And they're the influence of their children. So when their children see it, it's not a problem. And then what ends up happening is those are the same kids that act up in school, and those are the parents that go up there and defend the child no matter what. That's where the disconnect happened, because the only thing I can remember as a kid, when you might see somebody at a store kind of dressed like that, not even dressed like that, they may have had rollers in their hair. That was as deep as it went for me as a kid. As far as the dudes, it was always, nothing was out of the ordinary. Dudes wasn't going to no store in no pajamas. You're not wearing your slippers to the store. It just doesn't happen. Now, the only thing I would say possibly, and I'm talking about the corner store, not a regular store, is when you may go real quick to the corner store and a lady may have on her muumuu. Maybe. Like I said, I'm stressing maybe, because the outside stuff the inside stuff was never outside. That young lady, she made a great point.
Yeah. Well, I just don't get it. Like, I get it that you want to do some rebellion, but I mean, just an example, this is from the 1960s. They were rebellious. I don't see no scarves, no rollers.
They have
pajamas
morals.
Here. They were being rebellious. This was at a sit-in protest.
They have morals, ethics, and values, and they actually listen to their parents.
And this is true. And I honestly believe that it has a lot to do with the fact that I think it's a spiritual thing. When I see somebody that's out and they leave their house and they look unkempt and they didn't wash their ass today, or they didn't brush their teeth and they willing to go out in public, I truly believe that you are like, and I'm not even being funny. I think that either you're under spiritual attack or you have a mental issue. Like something is really seriously wrong. Because that's when we would see people that was crazy around the hood. Did they not look disheveled and crazy and they usually everybody had a slow person in the hood. Come on now. We had one too. His name was Sancho. He used to walk around the hood talking to himself. And he always looked like he had a bunch of spiders having a meeting on his head. We knew he was slow though. I'm just saying. Y'all look crazy as hell. That's just all I can say. Go ahead, Mark.
All right. Well, I think I'm about to piss a lot of people off. So let's just go ahead and get right to it and rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah. The fact that Tuskegee had to come up with that rule is Black women's fault.
Why you say that?
Because we live in the baby mama era. You just showed the photo just a second ago of us back in the 1960s, right? What we look like, how everything was more dignified. Well, back then, Black people specifically were married at an 86% rate, right? Mm-hmm. Outpacing even white families. Black people was married at 86% rate. What's the rates now? What is it like? 1 in 5 will marry now. All I'm saying is when you look at children out of wedlock, back then it was what, less than 20%. Now it's at least 75%. So you can't draw a direct correlation between single motherhood and the behavior that we're now seeing from children or generations of fatherlessness. And I'm saying, like, even though we can say it takes 2 to make a baby, if we look at the numbers, hold on, Shannon, if we look at the numbers, right, if we break down the numbers, 84% of all children out of wedlock are being fathered by 16 to 17% of single men.
Go ahead, fool. I think you was about to say something.
No, I'm scratching my hand. You good? It's on you. I literally was scratching my wrist.
I hear you, but allow me to retort. Because
I said I wanted to smoke. Bring it to me, Big Shannon.
Because my mom was a single mom. We had my grandmama, we had my aunties. My daddy wasn't there, and I didn't learn about him until I was in my 20s. And she still made sure that when we left the house, we was on point. All the way up until I was a teenager. Even when I was a teenager, I was rebellious. I was more of a tomboy when I was a teenager. I didn't really become more feminine until I got older. But even as a teenager, there was not a time that I would leave the house and my hair was all over the place, or I had on my pajamas or some dirty sneakers or a ripped up shirt. Like, hell, if you are a millennial, I know you remember the spit baths, okay? We wouldn't even leave the house without our mom doing this and wiping the spit out of your crust of your eyes and off the things, and then shining you up with a bunch of Vaseline. So it ain't got nothing to do with about somebody being a single parent or the amount of single parents. It got everything to do with the character of that parent and who they are and how they allow their house to be ran. Go ahead, fool.
I have to also say this is not just about the single parents thing. This is more generational. And I can say that because with me being down here in Georgia, I have seen plenty of younger people, white, black, I've seen Hispanic, and I think and definitely African, showing up at the store with their pajamas on. This is not cultural. This is I honestly can say this is generational, because when I saw the white kid, I was like, what the hell? And then, which to me is hilarious, to see a young white boy with a bonnet on his head. I've seen it all. It's amazing to me because, once again, our culture has a tendency to dictate the BS. And because we're so influential, whenever anything is positive, it has to, then they start stirring up stuff. That's what's frustrating, and people don't understand how powerful it really is. I see it all the time. Like for me, whenever I would see, the young cats with their pants hanging off their ass, I would walk up to them. I'm not going to walk up to them and chastise them. Why would I do that? I walk up to them and ask them a very simple question. What woman in your life do you respect the most? My mother, my grandmother, my auntie, this, that, whatever. All right, cool. If a strange man walked up to one of them and just dropped their pants, what would you do? I'll be ready to fight them and this, that, whatever. All right, well, look at you now. I make them think. And they like, oh, snap, I didn't think about it that way. Exactly. Did they all end up listening? No. But for me, as long as I can get through to one, my job is done. And I'm not going to stop. I don't get frustrated because the communication barrier has been distorted because of this. This right here is the key component of why things are off. And if people, I'm not going to say change it. If you don't at least address it, like admitting you got a problem, you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, we're going to stay in this situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can I respond? I heard what both of you had to say, and while I agree with some of your points, I would like to use this example. So I'm certain we've all played the game in school where the teacher passes one message in one student's ear, and then the goal is to pass the message by whispering in each other's ear all throughout the entire class all the way back to the teacher so we can see if the message is the same. Now, every time we played this game, by the time the teacher gets the message back, it's completely different than the original message. That's how I look at what has happened to Black America. We started off one way with one messaging, and then slowly but surely, as the messaging has gotten passed down through generations, it has shifted into something else, and to what we see today. To talk to Foo's point, when he spoke about our culture being the most influential, I absolutely agree. That's why you see all these other cultures starting to digress, because Black America has effectively made it cool. We made it cool to not show up for your children. We made it cool to be baby mamas and baby daddies. We made it cool to go to college campuses in do-rags and in pajama pants and all this other stuff. I think that it's us who made it cool, which led other people to think that it's cool, because our culture is the number one culture when it comes to being influential.
I got to interrupt you with that. And actually, that's not true. The reason why that's not true is because it's just like with anything else with the extreme left and the extreme right. The examples you just brought up are the ones that's publicized, because for as many ones that's out there doing the BS, there are a higher percentage of the ones doing it the right way, and they do not present that. What you're saying is right to a certain extent, but it's always about exposure. It's always going to be the negative and the drama that they're going to show consistently, because just like with everything else, when it comes to doing things the right way, that is boring. They are not going to go with the right way now, because they have to keep conflict and they have to keep drama, and they definitely have to keep things toxic, because when they do that, it stirs up the conversations and the arguments, which is that right there, because the numbers aren't high with the marriage rates in the Black community. That right there, we can understand that, but the numbers are high. They are still high, but they don't talk about that. They got to talk about the other side. And it's always in our community. They don't talk about the baby mamas in the other cultures, by no means. And those numbers are high.
Yeah.
Very high.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me go to the comments real quick, guys, because I see they are popping. I don't leave the store without my clothes being pressed. He irons the hell out of everything.
I don't. My mom, she be getting on my nerves about.
Yeah, you better start ironing. Stop wearing wrinkled shit when you leave the house, man.
I figure I can fill it out. It'll fill out once, like, give me about an hour. It won't be ready.
Yeah, Lynn said my children never wore their PJs out. Man, no, man. My mom, first of all, my mama used to pay for my pajamas. She didn't want me to wear them outside. I wasn't wearing my My Little Pony pajamas outside. Like,
Shannon, think about what you just said. We grew up in a time when you wasn't wearing your school clothes outside. You had it was a separation. You wasn't wearing your sneakers. You was wearing to school. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Now you wearing your pajamas. Okay, y'all got it.
Yeah,
right.
And I directly correlate that to lack of fatherhood.
What
the lack of fathers being in the home.
What do a daddy have to do with that?
Because your
some
daddy
of
is
these
the
daddies
one
be looking ashy too.
Yeah, but what I would say is your daddy is the one that spoke to your character. When you go back and you show those photos from the 60s or whatever, and you saw how all of those people were dressed, all of those people, I'm willing to bet, had their fathers in their home. See, when dad is there, right, and he's doing his job the way he's supposed to, there's a standard that's issued in that household where you have to conduct yourself a certain way. You must dress a certain way. I know that in both of my grandfather's households, my aunts were not allowed to go outside in pajamas, were not allowed to go outside in rollers, headscarves, or anything along those lines. My uncles were not allowed to go outside in do-rags. My uncles were not allowed to go outside with picks in their hair or anything that represented anything that even could have been remotely perceived as negative. Now, you can feel how you want to feel about the direction, but the point I'm trying to make is that there was a standard set and that you had to be held accountable. And if you didn't adhere to the standard, there would be consequences. And what I'm saying is today, right now, the lack of consequences is the reason why we're seeing so much rampant rebellion.
Back to my point. Wait a minute. Because I gotta interject for a second. My grandmother, God rest her soul, was the only child. She lost her father when she was 19 years old. Okay. I could go and look at several pictures of my grandmother. My grandmother didn't have her ass cheeks out. She didn't have her titties out. She wasn't doing any of that. And her father wasn't there. She had her children. And out of her children, I would say 3 of them probably had the same father and 1 of them didn't. The father wasn't in the house. Still, I didn't see my mama with her ass cheeks out. I didn't see my mama doing any of that. Now, she had a child when she was younger, but I truly do believe that it has nothing to do with whether the father is in the house or not. It has everything to do with the morals and the standards of how that mother is. I was raised with a single mom, and I say that again. I know several people who were raised by a single mother. I had a neighbor who was raising 2 girls by herself. Guess what? Her daughter was built like a brick house, but she was not walking out here with her ass out. She wasn't walking out here with her titties out, and she didn't have a father in the house putting those standards. It has everything to do with the mother and how she was raised and how she carries herself. I understand your point when you say that a father needs to be in the house, but a father could be in the house and the house could still go to shit. It's all about the character, and it's about who that person is. So that's just my point, but I hear what you're saying. Go ahead, Fool, and then we got to move on.
I'm gonna say this real quick. There's 2 things to play on what you said. It's 2 things that have been missing where the disconnect started. Number 1, lack of respect.
Yeah.
Lack of respect. Once that was lost, you started to see a fracture in the community, period.
Yeah.
The other thing was when parents started to be their children's friend.
Facts.
When you add those 2 things in, that's when you started to see certain black kids talking to their parents, you be like, wait a minute, what? Because they started to see that as acceptable, and because the parents didn't want to treat them like they were being treated when they were kids, that was the problem. Because we all either lived through it or no cats in our generation, they never got their ass whooped. But they were so fearful of their parents, they never disrespected them like that. Those days have been gone.
Yeah.
I'm talking about it's been a long time. So when we start talking about rebuilding, it's a lot we got to rebuild. And I would say overall, it's not just in our community, overall, because respect is gone. That shit is done.
So let's go to the comments real quick. So the gracious virtue, welcome. She said, I understand, but those are young adults who choose to show up lazy. Once you're out of the house, how you show up is up to you. I'm just saying, you right about that. You right about that. Today's women don't have those others though. Like I said, I truly believe that like it has everything to do with the character and how they were raised. Yes, it'd be great if both parents was in the house, but I'm sorry to tell you this. Your child could wear something in the house and then take their asses right to work. I mean, not work, but take their ass right to school and pull that midriff on out. I know, because I used to do it. So just because the father's in the house is like, you're not wearing that, and then guess what? You're gonna be looking just like Vanessa when they went to the club and she put yeah. It's just because it's just really about the character.
But what happened in that episode though?
Oh
Cliff
man,
Cliff was on her ass.
Cliff was actually really. The mama was on that ass more than Cliff was.
Well, we already know Claire didn't play no games.
Claire wasn't playing no games.
And art imitates life. And look how I know we got to move on, but when you start talking about art imitates life, look at what we lost with our sitcoms. We lost so much because the image. Bill Cosby knew this before we were born, that it's about imagery. He knew what he was doing. Was he a hypocrite on certain instances? Yes. But Bill Cosby cared about children and he cared about this community. He did his part and they destroyed him for that shit.
Yeah, they set Bill Cosby up. And I'm going to tell you real quick, and then I'm going to go back to the comments. They set Bill Cosby up because y'all knew that man was doing what he was doing all of them years. But then you had the audacity to make him a damn gynecologist on the They made him a gynecologist. He was looking at vaginas for a living on the Cosby Show, but he was a rapist though. Something in that milk ain't white. Let's get back
Bill
to the
didn't become a
comment.
problem until he tried to buy NBC.
Yeah.
Rule number 1 of the 48 laws of power: never outshine your master.
Never outshine your dang on master.
He tried
and
to do
don't have
too
your
much.
his Philadelphia home is actually by a oil rig, if I'm not mistaken. It was something about his land also that they wanted. I don't know. We might have to talk about that on another show though. Ray said, spare the rod, spoil the child. Yeah, y'all need to get in their ass nowadays. Y'all doing this gentle parenting and it ain't helping. See, y'all need to get back to
who more likely to hold you? Who more likely to put belt to ass, mama or daddy?
Both.
Not well.
Depend on the family.
Like I said, I wasn't raised with my father, but I wasn't raised with my dad, but I had my stepfather, and I'm not even gonna hold you. I don't know if he's watching. I love you. He tried to whoop me one time, and it was first of all, you gotta whoop ass with a beat. See, our mamas whooped ass with a beat. Don't you ever do that. Put your hand down. No, he was just like, you know what? You're not supposed to be doing that, man. I'm gonna just go ahead and do it because the mama told me. It was just like, man, it was underwhelming. I'm supposed to remember this ass whooping because I deserved it. Let me see. My mother and my grandmother dressed so sharp. But let me say, my mama still my mama still be sharp. I'm talking about sharp all the time. Her husband be sharp. So that's what it's supposed to be. Me and my man, we the same way. We don't leave this house unless we align. And even with being in a relationship, I realized that, like, yes, it's certain things that I know that my man is not gonna go for me wearing out the house. I'm not gonna leave the house with my ass cheeks out. I'm not gonna have my titties sitting up to here. I'm not gonna wear. No, I don't do that. Plus, I'm a woman of a particular age. I have to carry myself in a particular way. Now, granted, I'm not saying that just because you have to. What you say?
Thank you for setting the example. We certainly appreciate that.
Absolutely. That's just look. I wanted to dress like the Spiegel people. When I was a kid, I knew I wanted to dress like the people on the cover of Spiegel. So let's see. We got they didn't show their breast or behind out of or having on pajamas in the streets. No, they did not. It's all over down in the South, man. In the South, you're gonna see booty cheeks galore. Some of them real, some of them fake. I know for sure. I lived in Atlanta for 8 years. It was heavy. I don't know if y'all know this. If y'all do got big butts out there, y'all got big booties. I don't think y'all understand how absolutely sexy y'all look when it's covered.
That women don't understand, and I'm gonna say this for any woman that's watching this. First off, a real man loves a natural woman. Mm-hmm. Number two, when you leave out the house with that hat on, that t-shirt, and them damn sweatpants,
yeah,
you are so sexy. I'm talking about when you look good in that, you straight.
Man, and ladies, you know your man love you if he trying to smash while you got the rollers and the bonnet in your head. Like, what? If you still what? You at home though. You not outside with that shit. You in the house. Let me see. You better be the smartest person in school if my child think you're going to school in PJ. Facts. Let me see. It's a time of monkey see, monkey do. Yes. Yes, it is. The thing is that, like, the monkey look just as dusty as the doer. See, back in the day, you had to dress and present. Like, if you came to school with some buddies on, you got talked about. You know what I'm saying? If you wore a wig as a girl, if you wore a lot of weave, you got talked about. Like, wearing weaves and wearing wigs back in the day, it was not the vibe. If you wore a weave if you wore a wig, you had alopecia or something was wrong, or you had cancer or something was wrong. If you had a weave, it's because you got your hair done. You probably do a rod and ponytail that you threw in the microwave or something like that. But on the overall, well, nobody doing all of that, man. I saw a comment that I really wanted to look at. Okay. She said, our responsibility as people is not to entertain or consume nonsense. If we want more balanced perception, we have to champion excellence and not ratchet behavior. Yes, come on with it. I gotta give that an applause. Yes, that's what it all boils down to.
Hang up with that.
You know what's crazy? What's crazy about that statement, and then what you said, is what we got in the past election from a presidential candidate. You actually had a candidate with a fucking. Excuse me. I apologize for breaking. I said the F-bomb. I was doing my best to fight it.
You've been doing good so far,
yeah. I've been, believe me.
Hey, but hold on. Shut up the fool. Whoa. Hold on. We gotta give you some love, bro. Shut up the fool for not sounding like Samuel L. Jackson on the podcast today. Shut up.
He an hour and 9 minutes. I believe that is his first F-bomb.
Yeah, I was doing, but for you to have someone who's supposed to represent black women when she's Indian and Irish, and she presents Megan Thee Stallion twerking at a political event in Atlanta with older people there bringing their grandchildren and people bringing their daughters. What does that say about society? Like that to me? It
was Punani politics, bro. Hoes for Harris.
A country can rise no higher than the moral compass of its women.
Right, Sean? We love whores. It was Coochie Crumbs for Kamala. Hoes for Harris. I'm telling you, that's no
BS. Make that a shirt. If she decides to run again, I will wear that shirt proudly, and I will have every black woman in Douglas that I support her mad, and I wouldn't care. I'm like, so this doesn't apply to what she did? Does it?
Ooh,
you can't refute that.
All right, y'all. That's wrapping up the Fresh Off the Press. Oh, this is a good one, y'all. This was probably the best one we had. I like how we read this. Fresh Off the Press went well. Now we about to go ahead and get into some vintage tea. Now, vintage tea is usually when I dig in the crates of history, and I always try to bring it to the table, bring it to you beautiful viewers, and bring it to my co-host. So that way we could kind of compare it to something that's currently going on right now. And we're going to go ahead and dive into the Nolan Wells situation, which is definitely making headlines right now. Rest in peace to that man, and definitely my condolences to the family. But we got to talk about it. It's heavy out here. It's a lot of media speculations. The internet is divided once again. And I kind of had a glimpse of something that happened in the past that made me really want to pull this vintage tea out, because there's a picture, and I'm going to show it to y'all, because every time I see this picture, it reminds me of that time, and I'm haunted by what happened. And a lot of people are. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. This was one of my first videos that went viral just by posting this picture.
I think I know what picture it is.
Because that's how frazzled people got and how upset and pissed people still are about this case. So let's just go ahead, and we're gonna go ahead and get up into this vintage tea, and I'll be right back with my commentary.
Every story has a beginning.
Let's go back.
The history they forgot.
Or never told.
Vintage tea.
That's another banger, sis.
Let me show you all this picture, and then you all will get a gist of what I'm talking about. Do you all remember this picture here?
Yeah.
Yeah. This picture is many years old, many years. And when I look at this picture, it's so many emotions that come to mind when I look at it. Now, for those of you all who do not know who this is Tamala Horsford. She was a 40-year-old mother, black. She was black. I believe she actually was from the West Indies. And she attended an adult overnight party in Forsyth County, Georgia, in November of 2018. Now, Tamala was reportedly the only Black woman at this gathering. She was new to town, by the way. She had just moved there. I think she was only there for a couple of months. And these are co-workers that she worked with. And unfortunately, this picture, as beautiful as it looks, as happy as she looks, she actually was found dead in the backyard the following morning. Now, the initial investigation concluded that her death was accidental and consisted with injuries from a fall. But her family and attorneys disputed that conclusion. They questioned her injuries, witness accounts, the handling of the scene, and whether every possibility was thoroughly investigated. And the Georgia Bureau of Investigation later reviewed the case. And in 2021, the district attorney announced that the evidence did not support a criminal charge. This is the official finding. We are not claiming that murder was proven. We are examining why the investigation created so much public mistrust. So I'm going to play this video real fast to also give you all a little bit of what people were speculating around the time of this death.
Group of moms having an adult slumber party, enjoying some drinks on the couch. But by morning, Tamala Horsford, the only Black attendee at the party, would be dead. It was November 4th, 2018 in Cumming, Georgia. Horsford, a 40-year-old mother of 5, arrived at the home of Jeanne Myers around 10 p.m. For the next few hours, the group of moms who knew each other through their son's youth football league drank, watched football, and played cards against humanity. It should have been a fun, low-key night. But the next morning, Tamala Horsford's lifeless body was found by the homeowner's aunt, lying face down in the grass. The last person to have seen her alive was another mom, Bridget Fuller, who was picked up by her husband at 1:47 a.m. Fuller says Horsford told her she planned to smoke a cigarette, then go to bed. The home security system shows the back door open, closed, and opened again at 1:57 a.m. Investigators concluded she must have fallen off the deck as she stepped outside for a cigarette. After all, she'd been drinking. But the Horsford family doesn't believe it. She had abrasions on her face, arms, and legs. She'd suffered a dislocated wrist, broken neck, and lacerations to her heart's right ventricle. Fingerprints from the scene were never collected, and the batteries in the security cameras were dead. But the case was closed, and Horsford's death was ruled accidental. It was opened in 2020 during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, but by the next year, it was closed again, and no criminal charges were filed. To this day, Tamala Horsford's death remains a mystery. This may look like a normal photo.
So, this for a question for the panel. Bro, you live out there in Georgia. First, I want to make a quick little comment about this. I have no idea why this lady and her family moved to Forsyth County to this day. If you don't, you know. Very, very racist area this place was. A lot of bad history. So I'm not sure if she moved there. I believe Forsyth County is kind of half liberal. Is it? It's 100% red. Well, I looked on.
You talk about Forsyth.
Forsyth. I call it Forsyth.
Yeah.
Forsyth.
Nah, it's not a place. It's not a place.
It's not a place that you go.
Now, but this is the thing that you always have to understand. All three of us on this panel and certain people, before we move somewhere, we would check. A lot of people move to the South, and all they're looking at is home prices. They're not looking at demographics. They're looking at home price. Will they go check and see if it's the hood? Of course. But if they don't see hood and they see inexpensive / cheap, that's where they're going to move to. That's just a given. It's an unfortunate incident, especially something like this. But that's what a lot of people do, especially down here.
Yeah. So, what created the most mistrust? You think the accidental death conclusion, the handling of the investigation, or the lack of explanation that answered the family's concerns?
The lack of explanation that answered the family's concern.
Yeah.
I'm always
They don't have any closure, so they still feel like there's missing pieces to the puzzle. So of course they're gonna feel like there's no trust to be had there for the authorities. And then once they speak publicly, because we are of a sheep mentality, because we have a hive mindset, it's very easily to get people to rally around that exact same notion.
But
I'm
what do you mean we? What do you
Black
mean we?
I mean, we as in black people.
Why? Do you got a beef with black people today? Because like,
No, I don't.
it's not an
Yeah, I
attack.
mean, but I don't have beef with black people, but I'm very matter of fact, and I just like to be honest and call balls and strikes. And I look at it from the perspective of other people who have to deal with us on a day-to-day basis here in America. It's not just black people that live here, it's other people who have to interact with us on a day-to-day basis. So I view the world through the lens of other people as opposed to just black folks.
But how can you if you're not other people? If you black, how could you view the world? Because, and I'm saying this because I live around white and black people. And okay. And what I see on social media, which I feel, in my opinion, with the public perception of what everybody seems to have nowadays is what they see on social media. I don't see the things that you guys talk about when it comes to black people on a regular basis. And there's crackheads that's right up the street from my house. They're not out here beating up people, robbing people. I don't see those things. So even though we may have a disdain when it comes to black people, I personally get extremely tired of other black people making content, making it seem as if all black people are the same when they're not.
I don't think it's all black people. I think it's a certain segment of black people that get highlighted, and because they get highlighted, they seem like they speak the loudest. And I think it's more black
with
people
that being said, then it's not fair to generalize black people having a hive mindset.
I think it is fair to generalize black people having a mindset as well as women as well. I think that we think in the black community, let me just be honest and say what I got to say. In the black community, as long as you agree, we support independent thought, as long as you agree with the group. But the minute you zig when everyone else is zagged, you now become public enemy number one. As evidence to this Nolan Wells case and somebody like Brandon Tatum. What did Brandon Tatum do exactly? He went down there and actually put boots on the ground, actually did real interviews, conducted a real actual investigation, and then gave you a perspective. But what happened in the black community? Oh, he got tore down. He ain't this. He a coon. He this, that, and the third. He didn't stay on code, AKA he thought differently from the group. Black people, we have to all agree. We all have to be in line. That's why the minute someone is a Republican or someone thinks differently from the Democrat Party in the black community, you're automatically ostracized. It's because we suffer from what? Groupthink.
Fool, you got anything?
when I look at this situation, and then of course you compare it to the Nolan Wells thing, it's, for me, it's always about lack of accountability.
Yeah.
And when I always bring up the art imitates life, how many times have we seen a movie and or a TV show where it's a group of kids and something happens? The leader, no, we got to say this, that, whatever. And it's like it's always one that has a conscience.
Yeah.
When we look at these situations, we never see the person with the conscience.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and say it's a black-white thing. I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is it's still an evil versus good thing. Because if you're willing to take a life in that fashion, you were bold enough to do it if you're involved, but you're not an adult enough to admit what actually happened. When you just explain what happened with that young lady, abrasions, broken wrists, sternum, that sounds like she got kicked in her chest or stomped out or this, that, whatever, and it was a fight. But where do we see that? with the Nolan Wells thing, and like I said, for me, Shannon, you already know I'm doing my best to stay out of it because of the energy harvesting. But all I think about is this: you immediately go to the race thing. The investigation is not over. It's always people talking about it could be this, it could be that, whatever the case may be. The sad thing about it is we will never know exactly what the truth is. And the same way Mark just talked about closure with that woman's family, it's the same way everybody is that's emotionally involved in this case, in previous cases. We will never know the exact truth unless we have visuals.
Yeah,
that's where the issue, and that's where the problems come in at, because we just never know. It's sad because I'm gonna say this and I'll be quiet. Do I believe that he was with his friends who he's been with for a while and they did that to him? I'm not gonna say that, because when you got your friends, you got your friends. But the sad part about it is a lot of cats now, they don't have that intuition when somebody don't rock with you like that. They don't understand that. And I will never be somewhere where I feel as though I'm not wanted. If I feel off, I'm not going. I'm good. But then when you factor in young, a girl, liquor, and possibly drugs, and water, oh no, not me. I'm good.
But
boat? No.
But, and this is my thing, even when you possibly include all of those things, those same talking points you just said were actually the same talking points that they had when it came to this case. Mm-hmm. They included the fact that she was taking some type of antidepressant. They included the fact that she smoked some weed. They included the fact that they had some tequila there. They were swearing that she possibly was drunk and fell off the dam. I saw the house. It wasn't that high up where you could just fall and die. You could probably fall and hurt yourself, but you can't just fall and just kill yourself. And the way that she was laying, I saw the autopsy report. I saw the autopsy pictures. The way that she was laying, it did not look like she died, like she fell that way. So I truly think that even if we can't honestly say, and mind me saying, we're not saying that they killed this boy at all. This is not what we are here to do. We got to also admit that when it comes to situations like this, particularly in the South, this law enforcement, they are the new KKK, and they will do whatever that they can to twist shit up. So I think that the reason why Black people get so triggered when it comes to situations like this is because of historical factions. And these aren't historical factions that have happened 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. These happened like 5 years ago, 2 years ago, sometimes the same year, the same month. So even if it's a triggering situation, I just wonder, like, when a Black person is the only person of color at a gathering and ends up dead, should race immediately be considered, or should investigators require that evidence it actually shows that it wasn't politically or it wasn't racially motivated? Like, don't you think that they would know by now that that is what's going to what the public is going to do?
But you know the difference between then and now, even though then he probably was still around, as soon as something possibly happens, we immediately see Al Sharpton, Ben Crump. That's a problem.
Yes.
Because it's like they immediately get plugged in to rile people up. And that to me is a problem, because just like with anything else, we have to let things play out. We gotta let things play out to find out the what we possibly can see. But when you start factoring, said it at the beginning of the show, when you start talking about your belief in cops or whatever, we have an issue because some of them don't want to do the work.
Man.
And you always have to, man. Yes, I understand there's a race issue in certain instances, but when you start talking about criminal charges and everything like that, the one thing that pushes people over the top it's not just about the race. It's about the money. If you can
Yeah.
afford the right lawyer, it's a strong possibility you can get off. Prime example, O.J. Simpson. He had the lawyer team. He had his celebrity. And to me, in that instance, that was one of those things like we ain't letting that happen again. You had him,
OJ was innocent.
and you had the OJ thing, and you had Tupac. When Tupac did what he did with them cops, them undercover cops, they never forgot that. They never forgot it. Once you
OJ was innocent, bro.
we not talk about that. We talk about the case presentation, and that's. I wish that people would see that, and I hate to see adults get triggered so fast. Yeah. Adults get triggered so fast, but you get pushed. Like, yeah, you got to listen to this. They did this. It's automatic. Nah, yo, just sit back and wait.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate that you have to wait, but this is the world we live in. These are the games.
The Wells family lost all credibility with me as soon as they hired Ben Crump for an attorney. As soon as I seen Ben Crump on the scene, all credibility went out the window because I know what he represents. I'm sorry.
I feel like Ben Crump was like, "Ooh, piece of candy."
And he was on it, bro. He was doing. That's the reason why he was on certain things, but he's not on others.
I don't believe these families be hiring Ben Crump. I think Ben Crump is the truest form.
Ah, man.
He immediately, and it's like you automatically gotta have him as your lawyer.
Yeah.
That to me, it's not even about him. People want. Let's just be real. What black person in 2026 is seeking out Ben Crump? Let's keep it a buck. Come on now. The only reason why you would want him out there is to put the story out. That's the only reason. Other than that, what does he bring to the table?
He gonna racialize it. And it's money to be made off racism. It's like these boxes that have to be checked off. If you check this box and this box and this box, then we all can make this amount of money. You see, they didn't already put out a GoFundMe. They didn't already put out notice to sue all of Nolan's friends. Like they filed a paperwork on Nolan's funeral to file for wrongful death. Like it's certain checklists that they've been going by, marking each one off as they complete it. And it seems like this is a ploy to get money off of their son's death. And
but could it be that they're suing his family, the family of the young boy, because they possibly had something to do with his cell phone being erased?
I don't think.
Did you hear about that?
I did hear about that, but I also look at it from the perspective of it was a lot of phones on that boat that particular day.
No. They had his cell phone, right? Now, when the mother, and I took some notes about this, when the mother actually did, she subpoenaed to have all of his social media, like because when they got the cell phone back, for a young teen of his age, all his social media was cleaned. It was deleted. Like all the information, this was an attractive young athlete who probably had a very active life on social media. So it was just mighty strange that the phone was in your possession, and then when it gets back to the parents, it's wiped clean.
But how do we know that Nolan didn't wipe it himself?
Why would he do that?
I've gone through and erased a lot of photos off of my social media before. I mean, it's entirely
possible. It was wiped clean, bro. The Snapchat was wiped clean. Come on now. I hear what you're saying, but we gotta.
Can the phone company produce those records?
That's what she's waiting on. She has to wait 21. They got 21 days to give it back to them, but it's still mighty strange,
right?
That all of the interactions that he had on Snapchat, for instance, I'm not on Snapchat, but most of these young folks use Snapchat a lot.
They still using that shit?
What?
I thought Snapchat was dead.
Yeah. No.
Wow.
These young folks use Snapchat a lot. Young people, cheaters and whores use Snapchat.
Okay.
Young people, cheaters and whores.
If you,
Snapchat.
Based on what you just said, I would love to know, how is it that you can actually erase someone's phone that was probably locked with a code? That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of holes out there.
Maybe they knew the code.
That's what I'm saying. This is it's a different type of generation. And the biggest point about what my point I'm gonna make is we don't know.
We don't. We really don't. And we're not, and we want to make this clear. We're not making any speculations. We're not pointing out, like, this is not what we're here to do. Let's go through the comments, and Mark, it looked like you about to say something. Let me see. Okay, so Chaco said it's the same as Nolan Wells. It's to cover up something went wrong, and they covered it up when the white folk conspires together. Okay, that's kind of what the internet is saying right now. Facts. OJ was innocent. Shout out to my girl Shanique. You already know, sir. We damn near need to do a show where we just like dive in to like all of these like cases that had taken place, and we actually show that a lot of these people was actually innocent. That's what kids do. Let me see. If he had followers, then they seen what he posted. Yeah. So I'm not sure if they'll be able to. I'm not quite sure what's going on when it comes to the cell phone thing. I personally just kind of felt it was just a little weird that the cell phone was just completely wiped clean. I don't know.
There's
like
a
I
lot
said,
of weird stuff with this case, but none of it is equal to racism, and that's the first
something
place that we went.
doesn't sound right.
And I won't argue that all of the I's aren't dotted and all of the T's aren't crossed. I'm not here to make that argument. What I'm saying is the first thing that we did was automatically assume that this has something to do with race. The very first photo that we seen of Nolan Wells was Nolan Wells with his 3 white friends. That's not by coincidence. There's a ton of photos that they could have shown of Nolan. There's a photo of Nolan when he's by himself in his football jersey. The main star of the story is about Nolan, not about the friends, but you wanted to suspect the friends because we need to put a face on the racism that we're about to enact and make money off of. We needed a face, and those 3 boys were the face. Because if you listen to every eyewitness account, there was 30 to 40 people that all left the mainland and went over to Horn Island at the same exact time, including Nolan. Not just the 3 other boys, but when the story first came out, they made it seem like it was Nolan and 3 other boys that went to this island, and only Nolan was the one that didn't come back. When the whole time it was hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, that were all at this island celebrating the 4th of July.
But how do we know? We don't
from
know,
from eyewitness accounts who've all said the same exact thing.
But how do we know? This is what I'm trying to tell
Truthfully,
you,
we weren't there, so we weren't there.
We were not there, so we don't know.
All I'm saying is, how do we know? How do we know that what happened was based on racial lines? That's what I'm saying, and that's the first thing that we
don't know anything, because this is what these cases do. But then we also, and I hate that I can't post. I tried to get, just so you all know, Megan McGlover. I did an interview with her. Shout out to Megan McGlover. Make sure you all follow her. That is my great auntie, my great internet auntie. We just did an interview, and I'm so shitty that I couldn't get any clips from the interview. It'll be dropping on Wednesday. But she said the realest thing. She said, what is up with these one-off situations? Like, why we act as if like situations like this don't happen on a regular basis. She made a very good point when she talked about like thousands of Black teens are being murdered in Chicago. Thousands of Black teens are dying in Chicago. Hundreds are dying here in Indianapolis alone. They just was a shootout not too long ago. I swear to goodness, 2 weeks ago, we heard a whole drive-by right around the corner from my house. You live in Georgia. I'm quite sure it's always some Black teens that's getting killed out there. Texas, I'm quite sure it's always some Black kids that's getting killed out there. So it's like these stories like this, like Mike Brown, like Trayvon Martin, like the situation that happened with Anthony. It's like they choose these one-offs for reasons. Anytime it has something to do with a Black person against a white person, whether it's a white person murdering a Black person or a Black person murdering a white person. It's like, how much weight should the public give an official ruling when the family continues identifying inconsistencies? It's inconsistencies on both ends. I feel like that they probably shouldn't have said a damn thing about the case until you had all the facts.
That's
why I mentioned Ben Crump. That's why I said as soon as Ben
Yep.
Crump came into the scene, I was like, nah, I know this is on some bullshit, because that's not who you enlist if you're actually trying to find what happened to your son. If you really gave a damn about what happened to your son, you don't bring Ben Crump and the Crumpeteers into the fold. You listen to what law enforcement has to say. And then when you have the opportunity to speak to all of the parents, you speak to all of the parents. It's been said that the parents have reached out to Nolan Wells' family multiple times, and they have been stonewalled. So if you're saying that you want to hear about what happened to your son, why wouldn't you listen to the people who potentially could have information about your son? You know, the people whose children were with him last, allegedly, they may have, some what happened to Nolan, what Nolan was doing, who Nolan was with, but you don't even want to talk to them. The first thing you want to do is come out, go public, make this into a case. And now you got a town that was really essentially living in racial harmony. Now you've taken a nuclear bomb and dropped it right in the center of this town and racialized everything about it, drawn racial lines down the middle of this town, all for the sake of profit. I can't respect that.
Always remember, and I gotta send a huge shout out to Stag when she said this to me a couple weeks ago. It is an election year.
Yeah, it's
being that it's a midterm election year, they're doing everything that they can to rile people up, to mess up whatever. But what they don't realize is when you start talking about the extreme left, the extreme right, in any type of demographic, most people have their eyes open.
Yeah,
they can see what's going on, and they're not falling for it. They are. When I say, I don't think I've ever seen this type of desperation. I'm talking about in my lifetime. They are reaching. They reaching. It's honestly and truly sad to watch, because on one side you see a side that's fighting like, look, I don't know why you keep blaming us, this, that, whatever. And on the other side, they're saying, but you're to blame, but you're to blame, but you're to blame. But they're not falling for it. They're not falling for it. And it's sad because they're using kids. They're destroying people's lives.
Yeah.
But they don't care. When you start talking about power, namely political power, they don't give a damn. And they will sacrifice anybody.
Man, what? You talking about the people who eat kids? Shanika said, and then all of a sudden Nolan had another group of friends that were black. Yeah, because it's like they first posted the picture of him with the white kids, and then like once it all started getting all out there and people was being divided, now he got black friends. So it's like it's like playing hopscotch when it comes to American media right now.
I think he had black
and it's
friends
definitely
the whole time.
energy harvesting. Absolutely,
they wanted you to go racial with this. That's why they did it, because they could have showed another photo of Nolan. They didn't have to show that photo. They showed that photo because they wanted you to automatically arrive at a judgment and base it on racial lines. Yep. That's exactly why they did that. They could have chosen any photo. They could have chosen, like I said, they could have chosen the photo of Nolan just by himself. That's who we're talking about, finding what's going on, right? It's not about the friends, unless we are alleging that they are persons of interest or that they're suspects of a crime. We have no evidence that a crime has even been committed.
Well, we have no evidence of how he even died yet.
This is what I'm saying.
But then it's quite questionable. But with that being said, it's quite questionable that when it comes to the autopsy that they did, because I believe they did 2 autopsies, that when it did get to the second person, that the throat and the lungs were missing.
Let me throw this out there to you. I gotta ask a question and kind of make a statement. Now, this young man, he did pass in the water, correct?
They're saying drowning, yes.
They say drowning, but they don't know because the lungs was missing when it got to the second autopsy person.
So the reason why I say this, it goes back to what I said a few minutes ago. Mm-hmm. When you factor in water, and could it have been an accident? But then you throw in that little caveat that she just said about organs missing. It's so much that goes on, and we living in a time where everything got to be a conspiracy theory, and why you got to think like that, or this, that, whatever. I don't put anything past anybody because the evidence is there. We've seen it. Just because you don't want to believe it, don't mean that it can't be true. But it's like I said before, we don't know.
How do we
Yeah,
know it
like
wasn't an
let
animal?
me like I thought that it was weird that like in the back of his head, like right here, it was blood. It was like it was something that was red back here. I saw the diaphragm of like his autopsy, the first autopsy. It looked like somebody hit him in the back of the head. Because why would blood, if you drown, right? Why would blood sit on the back of your head like that? Now I get it. When we spoke about this last time with the neck being missing, at first you said that it could have possibly been wildlife. No, the medical examiner, the first time they did the autopsy, removed his neck. So you wouldn't have been able to know whether or not he was hung, he was choked. You wouldn't have been able to know that. Then they removed his lungs. So without the lungs, you cannot see whether or not he drowned. You can't see that. And this is what I mean why I say it's a historical thing for Black people to feel the type of way that they feel. Because what? Not too long ago, we had the same situation with Kendrick Johnson, where his parents have to do what? 1, 2, 3 different they have to do different autopsies because Georgia, and it's something about the South when it comes to these medical examiners. It's because they asses still got the KKK, but they just got the damn suits on. It's something about them. And I've seen it several times when it comes to Georgia. I don't know how Mississippi do it, but what would possess you to send over his body to the second person for another autopsy without everything that's in there? The same thing happened with Kendrick Johnson, the young man who was rolled up in the gym mat. When his parents, and this happened after the first autopsy, when the second man got it, he was stuffed with newspaper. They removed all of his organs.
Sound like
Now,
Stranger
mind you,
Things.
this was after he was already at the funeral home. And his mom was like, nah, we're gonna have to run that back. She paid for another autopsy, and his body was missing all of the organs. And they still don't know what he did. Do you know what they called that? They said that it was a suicide. So you mean it was an accidental death? That's what they said. So you mean to tell me that this little boy,
He was Egyptian. He mummified himself.
he mummified himself, basically.
So it was.
You mean to tell me that this boy slid inside of a rolled up gym mat to get some shoes? Because that's what they said he was going in there for. And he got stuck. He just died.
I think two things can be true, and I don't think it's wise for us to compare these cases. I think so often in the Black community, we always looking for a correlation. So we try to connect the dots.
Stop talking about what's going on with the Black community. We just talking about the fact of these. This is why Black people get very excited.
That's why I mentioned the Black community, because I'm like, we talking about us.
But what I'm saying is that like they have every reason to feel the way that they feel. They do.
Oh, I agree about being once bitten, twice shy. I agree with that,
bro.
No, I agree with that. But
I don't like, no, hold on. Because what I don't like is when content creators, Black content creators, they automatically assume that Black people just losing their mind and that they feel this way because it's because it keeps happening over and over and over and over and over again. It's like somebody who gets cheated on over and over and over and over and over again. And then they keep, and then the next time they get cheated on, the person's like, oh, well, I'm not cheating on you. I promise you I'm not. And then you find out that they asked is cheating again. We wouldn't have this problem if people did their job.
I agree with that.
That's what I
wouldn't have. We wouldn't have this problem if the media did their job. So whether it happened or not, I'm not trying to compare. I'm comparing these cases because it's the same situation with the boy I just mentioned. They said it was 2 white boys who killed him.
But we don't. But in this particular instance, what I'm saying is we don't know that he was killed.
We don't. But we wouldn't have this problem if they would have kept that boy's body intact. Why would you?
I agree. Two things can be. I agree. 2 things can be true.
Two things can be true.
Once bitten, twice shy is a stigma that plagues our community. We automatically assume because it happened in one instance that's what's happening in the second instance, and without providing the proper nuance and looking at it like this case had these factors, this case has these factors. This is why so many people, to me, were getting lost in the weeds trying to compare the Rick Child situation to the Carmelo Anthony situation when they're not apples and apples, they're apples and oranges. 2 completely different states.
I think those two cases were a bit different.
Everything.
I think those 2 cases were a bit different. Go ahead, fool.
this plays into what you said about how they choose cases.
Yeah.
I want y'all to think about what I'm getting ready to say. When was the last time we saw a nationally televised or super hyped up case that was open and shut?
Never.
They can't do that, because if they do that, there's nothing behind it. They got to sit there and sift through cases. Okay, how can we spin this, and what can we get out of it? That is the problem. And as long as people keep feeding into this, it's not going to change. Because part of the thing about it is, we can talk about the Black community. You can say that shit all day long. What we have to start talking about is the community having it so this doesn't happen. That's the problem. Because they always have to separate. But if certain things was in place as far as community, period, I miss the nosy lady with the rollers in her hair that knew everything. That's watching everything.
Pearl.
We don't have, and I know you can't go back or whatever. If we had certain aspects, not all of it, if we had certain aspects of things that were there in our childhood, we would not be going through this at all. Because, and this is what bothers me about the phone situation. This is a blessing and a curse. You can live on it or whatever, it can hurt you, but you can also record. And with you being able to record, and you have the cloud and all this stuff that can hold things, and then you actually have a case, something like this, where we don't know what's going on, and the phone is wiped. Not saying something could have been on it, but there's a possibility that it could have been. And it's wiped. All these cameras everywhere. Ring cameras, cats walking around with cameras on them. And there's nothing. Miss me with that, yo. Nah, that's why for me, that's why I live by this. I live by this. Just like I live by believe nothing and question everything.
Yeah.
That's
why I live by.
And with me living that way, I never get emotional about this. I get more emotional about the people out there that are so quick to get emotional about it. Because the fact of the matter is, what exactly can you do? What we're doing is the right thing, because we're having people say, I never thought about it like that. As long as we can get that out of this, I'm happy. But anything conclusive, it's not going to happen. That's reality. It will never happen. And I hate the fact, to go back to what Mark said about the parents. For parents to lose their child with no closure, now you start talking about mental health. And it will drive people crazy. That's how you can have a parent go do something to a child. Because they don't have that. We just don't know.
We don't.
And that's the part that people don't talk. They don't talk about that.
Yeah, and the state autopsy has reportedly been it has reportedly been completed, but its findings have not been publicly released.
And I bet it won't be conclusive. And I bet it won't be conclusive. I bet it. I bet $1 to a donut.
Officials have said that the investigative materials are expected to be presented to a grand jury. A grand jury presentation now. It does not prove that a crime occurred or that anyone is guilty. And as of tonight, the official case and manner of Nolan's death have not been publicly established. So that young man's case is not the first. It's not the first involving a young person's last seen with a friend at a gathering, later found dead and leaving behind a disputed timeline. Okay, so I got a few examples. We have somebody, a young man by the name of Noah Pressgrove. He was 19 when he was found dead along an Oklahoma highway after attending a party, and his death involved multiple injuries, and the manner was classified as undetermined. Several people said that they saw somebody walking along the highway and got hit, and another person said, no, we saw a dead body who was laying on we just saw a young man laying on the ground who was naked. So Different witnesses said different things, so it remained undetermined. We also had Lauren Agee, who was 21 when she was found dead in Tennessee Lake after attending a wakeboarding festival. Authorities treated her death as accidental, but her family disputed that conclusion. So her family is still fighting for that. And then we had Jelani Day, who was 25 when he disappeared in Illinois. His body was recovered from the Illinois River. Drowning was identified as the cause of death, but how he entered the river remained unknown. So why do cases like this tend to become racial amongst the public? And who's responsible for that?
The media.
Now, when you saying that, what is one of the things about this country and the media? They can legally propagandize everything, and that's why. And if I get the chance to meet him again, I hope I do. I love what RFK Jr. did to Karen Bass. Oh my God, it was beautiful because he called out propaganda on one of the biggest media platforms in the world. Yeah. I'm not saying I loved it. I loved it, and people saw it on full display. Asked her straight up, do you care about telling the truth or pretty much what you're told?
Yeah.
Drop the mic. I'm good. And that's where we have to be. That's why you gotta question everything. Got to.
Yeah. Let me go to the chat real fast. I got one last video, and then we're gonna try to wrap it up with Anthony Fauci before it gets too late. Let's see here. She said, well, they probably didn't think that they were going to get a second autopsy. They probably didn't. They probably thought that they could just do what they did, and then the family wouldn't ask for a second autopsy. I agree with that. What's going on? What's up? That's my guy right there. What's up, DJ? Nah. Government, but the media is the mouthpiece. Absolutely. With the question I just asked, definitely the media is the mouthpiece of the government. If it was a group of black boys, they would all be behind bars until proven guilty. You better damn know it. They would lock their asses up in a heartbeat. Period. Would lock them up in a heartbeat. I just hate how they make. I do hate how they make everything racial. I feel like that this situation, honestly, y'all should have just shut the hell up about it and then did y'all work, because you already knew that it was gonna do what it's doing now. You knew that it was gonna do it. That's why they did it. I personally feel like that a lot of these situations, in my opinion, and I'm sorry if the conspiracy theory in me is kind of going a little woo, 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 woo. I be feeling like they be making up a lot of these stories. I'm sorry, I do. I be feeling like a lot of these situations are possibly made up and conjured up, and they may have happened, but I think that they happened in a totally different way than what we're probably being told, in order for us to have these conversations. Because the more and more that we talk about it, the more and more it stays in the atmosphere, the more energy harvesting that they could do on us, the more division it's going to cause. You know, they want a race war. I think that, once again, as we said earlier, it's all subversive. All of this stuff is so we could be doing exactly what we're doing right now.
And it's very intentional, because the Carmelo Anthony case didn't work out like they wanted to, because you had video.
Yep.
Because you had video, the disputes are going to be different because there was actually visuals. But in this instance, there isn't. So they can beat this in your head for a long time.
So I saw this video, and then I'm going to close out this Vintage Tea with this. I saw this video, and I agree with most of what he said. Not all of it. We actually shared this video on the interview with Megan. Like I said, we'll be dropping that interview on Wednesday. So let's check it out, and then I want to hear y'all thoughts on it. Hold on.
Like, I just watched the video, and I've been thinking this, but motherfuckers probably gonna disagree and want to talk shit to me. I don't give a fuck. Y'all do it anyway. But I think that Nolan Wells shit fake. I think the shit fake, bro. Because like I watched the video of this young nigga, and he said some real shit. How the fuck is you from Mississippi and you ain't got a black friend? And you hanging with all these white boys in fucking Mississippi? Like, you don't know the history or where the fuck you from? Let's make it make sense, bro. That shit, I'm telling you, man, a lot of this shit, man, I'm telling you, the world is a stage, bro. Y'all gonna learn energy is the currency. These bitches need you mad. These bitches need you black against white. These bitches just trying to do anything to take your energy. I keep telling y'all that shit. Y'all keep watching the news and feeding into this dumb shit, man. There ain't no way that nigga goddamn a nigga from Mississippi and hang out with all white boys and don't and on a fucking island with all white boys and shit, man. Make it. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that shit, and I'm not that dude to say black versus white, but I swear, this year alone, 2026, there has been so many black on white or white on black motherfucking crimes and shit blown up in the news. I swear they try to make a race war. That shit is designed. It's by design, bro. This shit not real. I don't remember no year where this many motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying, done black against white, white against black bodies. I don't remember no other year like this, bro. That shit fake, man. It's not real.
So he did all the cussing for food that food didn't do. What's going on, Kevin? Welcome.
What's going, darling? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, I agree with the other half part of it. I don't agree with that, the whole black one black boy with a bunch of white friends. Because I'm gonna tell you something. When I first moved to Indiana, majority if not all of my friends out here were white. And they were good to me. You know what I'm saying? They looked out for me. They never made me feel as if I was black. They made me just feel like I was just a good person. They were my co-workers. A lot of them I still have relationships with that I could reach out to, that follow me on Facebook, that still check in on me. I do agree with the fact that what actually DJ Knock just said right here. He said, I believe they make up or recycle stories strategically. I do believe that. And I and this is just my belief. I don't know if it's facts. I'm just saying, I learned a lot about Trayvon Martin years after the whole case happened. I learned a lot about how they do the people who they put on the stand, how they actually encourage them to lie. And how they, and I've seen movies, because we know that Hollywood depicts real life, how if you have the money, you can pay anybody to say anything. So that's why I can't 100% agree with the notion that just because we got 40, 50 people who possibly said that they were there, that all of them are accurately saying the right things or they're saying the truth. How do we know that their parents' money ain't long enough that they could pay people to say these things? You just never really know when it comes to stories like this. That's why they need to put the Smith and Munns act back together. Go ahead, Fu.
I have to ask this question to you and Mark because y'all know a little bit more about it. Based on his mother and father talking, do they seem like the type that will be teaching their son about the history of Mississippi?
They're not. Well, his mom is biracial, if I'm not mistaken. I think that either she's biracial or she's Asian. I think she's Asian.
No, but that's my point. My point that I'm making is with what he said in that video about him hanging around or whatever. You living in a different time depending on the parents. If you don't have the parents teaching that, like you need to be careful, this, that, whatever, not teaching them that, and you have a younger generation that don't even be accepting all of that, that's also a difference too. It's called being naive.
Yeah,
that's a problem. That's what I'm saying. All of this stuff boils down to just being in the home. That's all. It all boils down to that. And like I said, I'm gonna keep saying the same thing. It's just an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, it is. It is. Oh man, we were supposed to clock out, but we ran over. And we got to get through this last bit because we have a guest that just slid in. So it would be extremely rude for us to end with such a prestige man who has joined our panel today. What's going on, Mr. Kevin Jenkins? Welcome.
Let let me do the right introduction.
Okay.
Because of how we gonna go into this story for however long we're gonna go into it. When you start talking about what happened in 2020, there was the disinformation dozen. These were the people that they vilified that you're not supposed to listen to them.
Right.
It was only 2 black people on this list. 2. RZA Islam and this man right here. I ended up meeting RZA and Kevin in Atlanta when they came to the CDC and talked. Once Kev saw, wait, you from Newark? We've been cool ever since.
True.
But I want y'all to think about this. RZA was out there like that. Kevin wasn't out in front of the camera. Once all of this happened, this man is one of that disinformation dozen. So he knows all the ins and outs of what happened with the lead up of 2020 and what they did.
Yeah. So everybody, if you can, give us a few minutes of your time. We definitely got to let this brother talk. We got to let him talk that truth, because I remember you was on the last panel and you didn't get to stay long enough. So we're really grateful. We're grateful that you came in. And yeah, y'all, if y'all could show some love for Mr. Kevin Jenkins, please, in the comments. Make sure you all follow him. He is on social media, Facebook, IG. Are you on
Twitter?
TikTok?
He on Twitter? He on Twitter and TikTok? Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah,
Well, I was
so
banned
y'all
for so many years. I was banned for so long. I mean, I was permanently banned from everything. I mean,
wow.
Everything. I was deplatformed everywhere around the world. I was deplatformed. I mean, they could have stopped me from traveling. They would have. But when I got involved in this whole COVID narrative, it was not about COVID at the time.
Yeah.
It was about autism. It was about how it was impacting our children in this country. It was all about autism, and it was all about, informed consent. It was all about making sure we were able to protect our body sovereignty, protect our human rights. It was about that. And what was happening to those young kids at the time was the reason I got involved, because before I met Bobby Kennedy, there was a situation in New Jersey where they were trying to take away your religious rights as a parent, your religious freedom. For instance, if your kid wanted to, not get their vaccinations, or if something they always claimed that their religious rights to be able to do that. So what was happening all around the country, they started to attack that. They're saying, no, you can't use your religious status to stop, taking their poison. That doesn't mean anything anymore. You're now going to have to take it. And those parents started pushing back. And they were white women. They were not black men and white men. And they were white women. They were saying, you harmed my child. My child was perfect until you gave them that. And they said they were anti-vaxxers. They said that they were rich, privileged white women. And you know who bought into that narrative? Black women that were impacted by autism more than anyone. And they were saying, oh, something was wrong with my kid because it was something genetic was wrong with it. They bought that shit. Or it was the environment. Let me finish, Will. It was the environment. I mean, when I got involved in it, it was to stop that. So 10,000 people were in New Jersey at the time, in Trenton, fighting against that law being changed. And it was this young man, Jamel Holly, who was an assemblyman, who I've known all his life. He was a great kid, and I loved him. He showed up at my house and said, hey, Kev, I got to talk to you. I said, listen, and this is true, Shannon. I said, I don't want to hear that. I'm not, no more social. Look, you guys go out there and figure it out. I'm going to go play golf. Whatever issues you have, you go fix it, because all our lives, we did that. We fought and built shit and learned how to really create opportunity for people. So I was at the point in my life, I'm like, I'm going to go play golf. If you haven't figured this out, that's your problem. So he started explaining it to me. And he said, can you do me a favor? Just look at the policy. He knows I can read policy really, really well if people know my background. And I'm reading this. I said, wow, this is very discriminatory. I said, this is a discriminatory bill. They're saying that the kids in the suburbs don't have to take the poison, right? But the kids in the urban areas have to take it. It was mandatory. I said, there's your game right there. Go play that game. Now, I normally don't do the race card, but I said, you got to play that, because it's not about race. Basically, it's about class in this situation. So what happened, he goes back to Trenton and he wins the day, because he was smart kid, smart young man, brilliant. And when he played the Republicans against the Democrats, and the Republicans sided with him, and he stopped the bill from being passed. And then the Democrats got involved at the end, but they tormented that young man. They tried to kick him out the party. Now, this is somebody that is an established guy. They hated him for fighting Big Pharma. They hated him for not letting them take away those people's religious freedoms, but from protecting their children. So what happened was he came back a week later and said, Kev, I want you to go to this event, because he called my wife to do an event because he wanted to bring the Black Caucus together. I told him the Black Caucus is not going to come and support you. They don't represent Black people. They don't care if our kids are damaged. They don't care if you can't eat. You're just that good that you understand that you need to do this, young man. But that's the Black Caucus. They don't. I said Black Caucus, not Black Caucus. I said, forget them. I said, call my wife and she'll bring all of the best people around. She brought every leader from around the state to a meeting and met Bobby. Bobby did the presentation on autism and the impact of it. Blew everybody's mind. So I think job is well done, right, Shannon? I'm like, okay.
I think so.
I'm ready to get out of here. So I'm in my house. I got my golf shoes in the bag, and Jamel shows up at my house. I said, what do you want? I'm really fucking with him. Like, what do you want? He said, Kevin, I got to talk to you. I said, what? I really want you to come to Connecticut with me so you can listen to Bobby tell us, talk to us about the presentation he did for Gail and them. I said, I'm not doing that. That's not my issue. I told you, I done enough for you. Y'all haven't figured it out. My family ain't going no further with you Negroes. God bless you. Whatever you got done with Gail, I'm done with you. So Gail comes downstairs and say, Kevin, please just go and listen. So I get in the car with him, fool. Golf stuff on. I'm mad now, pissed, right? I'm driving to Connecticut. So I get out of the car. I go into the event. The presentation. Bobby was there. I met him. We talked. And he says, Kevin, everybody's talked highly about you. I'm like, oh, okay, well, great. What you guys accomplished at the state, I'm very pleased about that. That was a great accomplishment for every child in New Jersey, and particularly in my community, because I understand the complexities of it now that I didn't understand, and the overall damage it was doing to Black boys. Black boys, right? Black boys are damaged. In New Jersey right now, it's 1 in 8. 1 in 8 young kids in Essex County and Union County, young men have autism. We should all be outraged, right? They should be marching in the street, right? Black women should be outraged that their boys are damaged, right? Or their kids are being, poisoned. Not a peep, not one word. So I go to the presentation and I sit there through the whole thing. And I'm like, okay. I didn't say anything for 3 hours. Literally, that's hard for me. So I'm like, and so I sat there and that was it. After that, Bobby and I talked. And I met these 2 fantastic young ladies. Now they still don't know who I really am. So they start talking to me about helping them. And this is a big cause. And I said, listen, stop. I understand what you're doing now. I get it. I said, this is really horrible. I had no idea this was going on. I'm ashamed that with all the things that I've done, I did not know about this.
Wow.
How could this have passed me? I understand the cancer issue. I understand the health issue. I understood all of this stuff. And when I saw the damage that it was doing to our kids, I'm not going to lie. I was speechless. I actually had to apologize. When I got home, I said, Gail, what the? Because I was reading all of this data. So after that, I created this organization called the Urban Global Health Alliance with these 2 young ladies. And then I traveled this whole entire country. I've been all over this country. I've probably been in your neighborhood. You probably didn't even know it. And I spoke to crowds in every part of this country about body sovereignty, finding your God courage. And then COVID came. And then that is when I got really busy. Because it came from autism, COVID, then the system. I knew the system. I understood all of that. So I knew the greater system that they were talking about. So I traveled. I think I've been, 59 cities, maybe 40 states, 45 states, sometimes twice. And I started talking to Americans, white Americans at first, no Black Americans, none, not one Black American in the first 40 cities I went to, I had an opportunity to talk to because they actually bought into that narrative at first.
Yeah.
They bought into that narrative at first. So what I started doing earlier on is speaking all around the country, but going to state legislators and fighting and talking to them about making sure they don't pass those bills to take away those families' religious freedoms, their religious rights, their religious exemptions. So I knew how to do that. I knew how to lobby the government because I know it. So I lobbied every state legislator in the country, and every Black state legislator was horrible. They were disgusting. They were ignorant. They were liars. I mean, they were horrible. And I said to them at every meeting, because they didn't expect no Negro like me to walk in the door. They expected the white women to walk in the door, and they were going to do that white girl stuff. And then when I started laying out the facts and laying out the data and saying, how could you on the health committee pass any law that's going to impact your community and impact your kids? I don't care if they're white, black, Puerto Rican, or green, because the damage is real. But a lot of those like local elected officials were on the health committee. They were on the health committees. So I had to go after them. See, what the young man was doing, I had no idea what he was doing because I had been out there so long. And then when I saw RZA and Georgia, I said, hey, young man, how you doing? You doing, because to me, they're kids, like, okay, you guys are going to be doing great. So I was really impressed by that. But by the time I got to Georgia, I had done the national run. I was on an international bus tour. Every day I showed up on a stage in America talking to Americans. And that's when I realized that this whole narrative about white America, because I come from a very diverse community. I went to very good schools. I went to schools of white people. I don't like to have that narrative, my white friend, my black friend. I went to school with decent people and we did some good business together. So I know how to get past that nonsense. But what I started finding out was that white Americans started taking action against their elected officials. They started taking action in those courtrooms. They started taking action and talking about COVID, talking about the deep state, talking about CDC, talking about the FDA, talking about the International Monetary Fund, talking about it all. They had done their homework. And then they started attacking the public schools. Then they started talking about how their kids were, it just exploded into this big national cause. And it was all about faith, family, and freedom. And I spoke on all of the stages in this country, every last one of them. And so, go ahead, Fred.
I want to say something, and I hope everybody that's watching and Shannon and Kevin get this too. Did you notice that Kevin said with the autism movement, it started with white women?
Yeah, it did. I did a video on this before.
But
it did.
I'm saying that for this reason alone. It started with white women because they cared, and then it blew up into a national thing.
Yeah.
But then when you start talking to our community in depth about what's going on, especially when it comes to this shot, what do you hear from our community that you don't hear from white people? Well, we're gonna die from something anyway. You don't hear, and when I every time I hear that, that's why to know where the movement started from, where they want to get to the root of the problem. When it comes to us, well, you wasn't talking about what they was putting in shots when we was kids. It's like it always has to be something that has to dispute what the bigger issue is. It's like they don't want to get into the roots of the fucking problem. They just accept it. That's very, very scary to me. I was on Tony's live earlier for a hot second, where they was talking about the Fauci thing and him and what he didn't do and everything like that. It was 3 people on that live still saying, well, it was early and we didn't know and all that. Glossing over the fact that it's proven that he lied. He said it, he lied. It's like women in an abusive relationship. They just stay there and they just accept. That is very scary to me. That is very, very scary to me. It's been proven that the lie is right in your face. The person you trusted is on record saying this, and you still cool with it. That is weird to me.
Well, hold on, because we got to wrap it up. It's 2:17. It's 2 hours and 17 over, and I have plans today. So
later, we come back on.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad because I do want to talk about this Fauci situation. So we might have to do a part 2 next week. Pick this up because I'm quite sure they're not going to stop talking about this.
Well, I want to talk about the Fauci thing. I'm in the book that Bobby did about Fauci. I can break down some things about Fauci from 1980 to now.
Will you be will you be available next Monday to come by?
You call me, I'll be available.
All right. So next Monday, we're definitely going to make sure we have Kevin Jenkins back. We'll probably have a lot more other people back on here. This was our first show back. This is the second season of the Realest Lounge. I hope everybody had enjoyment. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I had a good time. I'm hungry though. My brain, my health bar is on low.
Let me say this before we end the show.
Uh-huh.
To be prepared for next week. Anybody who sees this video, look up a documentary called Thank You, Dr. Fauci. Watch that. Watch that. Trust me. Just remember, thank you, Dr. Fauci. It will blow your mind.
Yeah, it will blow your mind.
Well, I just want to say I'm grateful for everybody that came and joined the chat, who paid attention, who been watching, who been commenting. Be grateful for all of y'all, everybody on Facebook, everybody on YouTube, everybody on IG, everybody. Thank you so much for checking out the Realest Lounge second season, episode 1. It's gonna be many more that's gonna come. And make sure you all check us out on Wednesday. We will be having a new interview with Megan McGlover. If you all have not followed this lady, please check her out on IG. She is hilarious, full of knowledge, and we're gonna be back next week with Mr. Kevin Jenkins. We was on CP time a little bit.
That's okay, man.
We started a little late, but thank you all so much, and we are out. Make sure you all like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Share this live with your friends. And we'll see you all next time, y'all. Have a good
guys
evening.
Are great. Thank you. And you
enjoy
guys
your Monday.
Right,
bye.
bye.
Thanks, Kevin, for coming by. We'll see you next week.
Okay, no problem. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
The Realest Lounge.
Hosted by Shannon Nicole with Unplugged, mark the motto, yeah, we ready, let's go.
Pull up a chair, it's time to make the people aware.
Bringing culture into context, truth, no nonsense.
The Realest Lounge.